One of my favorite apps in this whole world is, of course, the Bible app, and I felt like it kind of deserved its own time. I definitely endorse it, and I think it can make your life a lot easier because it's made mine pretty easy. We all know the Bible app. It is that one little app that has everything. What I love about it is easy, convenient, and free. And it has every version of the Bible that you could need. I personally love that it offers the opportunity to download versions so that you don't have to use data when you're on the go and you can read, which I think is really awesome. And I think it sets it apart from other apps. Um, I personally do my own studies with the New Living Translation. And that is what I use on a daily. I love my Bible. I carry it with me everywhere in addition to the app. I also carry around an ESV that I use at small groups and in church because when the pastor is talking and I'm trying to learn something from a small group, I want to know what I'm trying to listen to instead of trying to figure out what something means. So I'll highlight it or mark it, and then I'll come home and do a little bit deeper of a study into other versions across the board. In my opinion, it doesn't matter what translation you listen to or read, as long as you're reading it. Okay. And as long as it continues to point you back to Jesus, I don't see the point in getting wrapped up in something as that technical. I use the NIV quite a bit. I do find that translation is actually pretty healthy. I use the Message every now and then. And the other day, I actually was in an Ephesians study and I really loved the KJV. And I actually really preferred that in that study. This was the second time I was studying Ephesians, and I actually really liked it. So I'll probably find myself doing that again moving forward. But it just kind of depends on what's going on, what I'm reading, and what I'm trying to get out of that study. Another thing that I love about the Bible app, of course, is the devotionals. Now, let me tell you a little story. My phone is new to me. And so I was in the process of getting my apps back in order, and I went to sign in to my Bible app to retrieve all the devotionals that I have felt guilty for a month for leaving behind. Prior to that, since June, I have spent hours with the Lord on every single day. And I had a bunch of devotionals that I was working through at that time that started in those seasons. And I was feeling guilty because I gave them no time or energy. Now I'm finally trying to get back on to the track of them and I can't get in the account. So I guess God said, hey, you're done with that season, Missy. It's time to move on and learn something new. So here's something that I always do with my devotionals. I make sure that I have a devotional for every priority and area in my life, for real. And I put a lot of energy into them. So, my first priority, of course, is my faith. So, I will usually have one of the rooted studies going on. There's rooted in Jesus studies everywhere. I usually like a longer study, the better, because I want to commit to a full seasonal change through them. I always have a rooted study going up because it teaches me the basics and teaches me to kind of get with the classic stuff, if you know what I mean. I also believe in the word that says, when you have a spouse, you make them first. And so, although I am unwed, I do believe that God is going to make that happen one day. So, I want to build that habit first. So, I will have a app that um, is for single folks or marriage. Like I will always have something so I can kind of learn. So I can thaw out like details of suppression from my marriage and work on some things that maybe I need to fix and grow and propel and move forward. I think it's really important to do that. So the one that I'm working through now is red flags. And I started this in my last season and I think it's something that I want to start every season to renew and refresh. It is a 10-day devotional that kind of tells you what's healthy in relationships and what's unhealthy. And it allows you to outweigh your current situation or past and figure out what details did you miss the hair on. And that's really helped me get through some of the hard stuff in my marriage. Excuse me, as well. My next priority is parenting my kids. So I will always have a parenting devotional going on. Right now, I am studying Parenting on Purpose, which I love. It is part 1 of 2, so it'll take me a while to finish. After my kids, my job is my priority and this ministry. So I have a whole thing on Give Your Work Meaning, which is the first part of a whole series that's going to effectively teach me how to be a better employee, which is really going to help. I think we all need those reminders. And then work brings money, and money requires good habits. So I always have Financial Matters by Rick Warren on my phone. This is my favorite, and I restart it every month. Every month, I restart it and remind myself of better habits. Another thing that's really important to me right now is I am preparing for my next segment, my next season in the show. I've closed out and I've wrapped up everything from this first season. And you will start seeing, like, I launch every week a new episode. But in like January, February, the first season's going to close. And so I'm already working away, starting to pray and prepare my heart and my mind for the next season of content. And so I will have some devotionals regarding around that topic to get me conditioned to be able to have a conversation about it, to look at things in a perspective that I may not realize, and to really spark conversations so that I can continue to teach about it. Another thing that I'd like to work on is healing. So for me, I have an app on emotional wholeness so that I can keep pursuing and re-cleansing my spirit. And then last thing is, none of this would be possible without prayer. So for me, I always have a long and extended devotional that forces me and calls me to pray. That is a very, very big deal to me. So I love to pray. And so I will always have a devotional that allows me to do that as well. I know that's a lot of devotionals and that's a lot of time. You have to realize, like, in the summer, I was spending 4 or 5 hours a day with God. And you think I'm joking, but I'm really not. I 100% spent a lot of time with him. So when I started my job, I went from having all this time in the world with him to minimal. And then I got back the momentum to at least giving my mornings to worshiping him and to journaling with him, which is my prayer time. And then I found ways at my job that on my breaks, I can do my devotionals and my lunch. And then I found that I have like a half an hour to an hour after work where I don't have to be at the bus right away because I have some time to wait. And so with that, I actually have time to do some devotionals. So I'll do some of the devotionals that maybe I didn't have time to complete during the day then. And then I will actually work on them when I get home in the night. And I make them a task. I commit myself to them because that's how I want to grow. 100%. It is one of my favorite things to do for myself. And they all complement me in any given season. Let me tell you a story. Last night, I had this dream that I was on the side of a mountain and I there was snow, and it was gradient, and it was brown, rocky. And to think of me on a mountain hiking is probably a dream in the first place, or a really bad nightmare. And I remember looking down, and um I saw the harness of my partner down, and I looked up and I saw that the top of the mountain was a little bit higher than I anticipated at that point. And so I was kind of shocked because I have overcome so much in my life by this point that I was like, do you have more planned for me? Like, are we not going to like rest a second? Am I not at the top surface yet? And the answer was clearly no. You have more climbing to do. And he validated that in church. And I'm like, oh my gosh, there's still more that I have to climb here. And I'm not out of the woods yet. And so it made me realize that I'm going in another direction of growth, and I'm going into a new season that I need to like be ready, be prepared, and march forward, and to hang my harness tight so I can do that. And my devotionals give me a reason to measure my growth and to compliment me during those priorities that actually need to keep my focus. It helps me remain focused on what's going on and help me get things done. They're non-negotiables. I can't set them aside for anything that goes on in my life. And so to have the time to focus on those for a little bit allows me to keep my life in somewhat order. You don't have to do a whole bunch of devotionals like me. I consider myself a very special case, but it does help me. So if it would help you, I would encourage you to download the Bible app and see what it can do for you. We will see you tomorrow.